on this wonderful day, which is the 107th anniversary of the formation of the NAACP. And we are particularly grateful to one of our local ex-presidents, Whitfield Jenkins, for, in a meeting of the Bridges some time ago, mentioning the destruction of black businesses in this community some time ago. So this gave the impetus to having this discussion, both of what has happened in the past and what we hope to accomplish in the coming years. Thank you so much for coming, and let's welcome our new moderator, Francine Julius Edwards.
We do want to give a special tribute to Delphine Herbert and to Reverend Bruce Seaman because they received the Progress and Peace Award at the NAACP banquet just last Friday. So a hand to them. All pioneers of social justice. Yes, my name is Francine Julius Edwards. I've been here 5 years, but my family has been here for generations. My third-generation grandfather helped founded Marion County, but you wouldn't know that because his likeness is not in the county museum. He was a product of a slave and the plantation owner in Lownstown, Alabama, and he was brought up. He was educated. He was a preacher, and he brought 25 families to what is now Little Lake Ware. And he was an Orange Grove owner. He also had the homestead deed from the 1880s, and he owned over 350 acres of land at one time. Now we have less than 20, but we did lease it to the county so that there is a Willoughby Park that is in Lake Ware today. What we're here today to discuss is black businesses. After slavery was the Emancipation Proclamation of the 1880s, Marion County had so many slaves. They had 60% at one time. And the slaves were given a 3,000 were given a Homestead Act to have land here in Marion County. Though some were so intimidated that they did not claim their land. However, we have Howard Academy. From Dr. Howard, we have quite a few businesses that were prosperous before we had the Great Depression. Who we'd like to introduce you to today is a lot of our founding fathers who are social justice from new, current, and future. I'd like to introduce Mr. L.C. Stevenson, who is a former NAACP president. Mr. Stevenson was owner of Twin Pines Farm with horses. So you were a real life cowboy, sir? we have Reverend Leroy Chandler, pastor of New St. Paul Church in Flemington. Can you raise your hand, please, sir? And he is also the curator of the extensive collection of the African memorabilia, which is over at Howard Academy and will be, I'm sorry? Where is it housed?
It's not housed, it travels.
I'm sorry? Absolutely right. It travels, and it will be at the DEC office on February 26th, 27th, and 28th of this month. So we are definitely asking you to please come out and see all the artifacts that he has been able to acquire. We have Miss Shatasha Jones. She is a product of Vanguard High. She's also a St. Leo undergrad and a Webster graduate. She is the Training and Development Director for Childhood Services for 15 years, and she's also the NAACP Economic Development Chair. So welcome, Ms. Shatasha Jones. We have Dr. Barbara Brooks, the President president of Rommel Educational and Social Services. For the last 7 years, she provides leadership, fundraiser, marketing, outreach services. She is a facilitator, and she also leads parent support groups. So please welcome Dr. Jones. Everyone knows Mr. Whitfield Jenkins. Born, raised, and educated in Marion County. He is a former, as president, as was said earlier, of NAACP for 12 years. He is a former first and third vice president of the Florida State Conference NAACP. He's a former board and director of Greater Ocala Community Development Corporation, and a host of other things that we don't have time to say, but we do welcome Mr. Whitfield Jenkins. And last but not least is Elgin Carelock. He is a business strategist, a marketing consultant, a retail management consultant, and a success coach. So we welcome you. We ask that each panelist please stand and give a few minutes of what they do and how do they help the community of Marion County. Ms. Jones.
Good afternoon. Again, I'm Shatasha, and I am the committee chair for economic development for the NAACP. Our job is to provide economic education for our community to make sure that we create partnerships that minorities can take advantage of in our communities, and educate the community on opportunities and partnerships that are available to create success in minority businesses.
Thank you for the opportunity to stand before you. Today, I am Dr. Barbara J. Brooks. I am the CEO and founder of Ramal Education and Social Services. Ramal stands for Reach, Aim, Motivate, and Lead. And so how I believe that I help the community, I advocate for children, as we all should do. We provide additional opportunities for children by providing scholarships for them to attend summer academic enrichment programs, provide scholarships for non-traditional students. These are our older students, who may be 25 years or older, who have not had the opportunity to attend post-secondary education, or who are returning to receive their college degrees. Also, financial contributions to people in our community who sometimes find themselves fall between the cracks of our society. We try to help them. We provide workshops and seminars, which I will be telling you more about the workshop and seminars that we have now, because I do believe that investments and economic opportunities provide starts with the individual. So we provide those information so that people can be knowledgeable about how to improve their financial situation so that they can invest in our community and make it a better place to live. Also, we network with other individuals and organizations in our community. I believe in partnerships. And so some of you in this room have been partners and donors, and we certainly thank you, and we are reaching out to more people to be involved so that we can improve the economic situation in our community and make it a better place to live. And so I guess I'll pass it on so that we be available for questions.
I just would like to say that I am L.C. Stevenson, a lifetime person of Ocala Marion County. And I've seen Ocala Marion County go from a long, long ways. From the WEA building Taylor's Airport out there to where we are right now. Now that highway right out there, I want to tell y'all a few things about that now. And then I'm going to tell you some things about it. But anyway, that highway right out there, I used to work at Whitfield Company. We had some fellas working down there, and they bought new cars about every 2 years, and they loved to race those cars. I would hate to see them trying to race where they were racing there. They were racing down that road right there, from Martin Luther King to the 13-mile post. Everybody in know where the 13-mile posts are down on Highway 200 out there. It's where 484 crossed out there. They were race all the way down. Now, you wouldn't believe that now, the way that traffic are out there now. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Well, that's just the way we've grown. Those guys would race all the way down there. Now, I didn't race. I was the judge.
Oh, you dropped the flag.
Yeah, I would go on the other end and wait for them and come back and tell the truth. But I just want to say that because you see how much this place has grown. You know what I mean? You ain't me all right now? All right, so thank you very much. But I've had business here in North Carolina County. I ran a pool room restaurant for some years. And I got tired of that. It got to the point where I come out of that because I could see where my life was getting in danger. The years go on. I tried calling Porkwood. But by the way, I dropped out of school. That's what I did. Dropped out of school and I wanted to go to work and make me some money like the other big boys and buy me a car and all that stuff. You know how these young boys and things are now. That's the way I was then. But now I got to be an old man. I don't regret it. I regret it that I would have liked to got a little more education. But you know the survival to life. The survival to life, you gotta have some education or some good sense. But really survival is that stuff right there. So I learned how to invest in business, buy some land, build a house, raise my family, bought another house, and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So here I am now. And when I sold my property, I went up in Georgia. This fellow here, he went along with me. And I bought 140 acres up there, and I still got that land up there now. And we go hunting up there, and we got a camp up there, we enjoy our life. You know what I mean? So I was wishing young people could be here where they could hear this because there's a lot of them now they don't believe in going on to school and getting educated and that's right out there in the street. But now I want to tell them the avenues that I came through, they're not open anymore. They can't walk up those avenues anymore. You know. So I'm satisfied with myself from where I am now from where I came from. Okay? Because I can remember when this was a horse and buggy town. People rode the town about their grocery and thing, the horse, buggy, and wagon. You know? And it wasn't these highways weren't here, but dirt roads. I remember when there was a cow on 60th Avenue out there, what y'all call Airport Road. And from there on out, it was open range. Animals were running all across the road. So I go way back. Let me sit down now before the shoot. Somebody will pull the shirt deal out the while, but I can tell you a lot.
Good afternoon. Let me first give thanks and congratulations to Delphine. She has put together over probably going on 3 years a number of these forums, and they all have been hard-hitting and very needed. We want to thank her for that. I want to recognize and acknowledge my wife who is in the house. Believe it or not, I've heard some of y'all say that people know me, but I don't think they know me any better than my wife because she's been a partner that has been on the front lines with this civil rights struggle ever since and even before I did. And so I certainly appreciate and thank her for her service. I thought today the contribution I could make to this, I knew it was going to have some business persons here. I'm not a business person. I am an activist. And I'll tell you all, a proud activist. I raised more hell in this town than any one person you can name. You can Google, if you don't believe it, Google Star Banner and see how many times Whitfield Jenkins come out and see the headline statements that I made. So I come today kind of pointing you to something that we won't have full time to discuss. Now I did some handouts. I did about 25 and it cost me about $75. And I was thinking about Delphine and I said, how much should I invest in Delphine? And I said, she's worth more than 75, but I'm living on fixed income, so let's start there. You know, in the handout that I did, I put right on the front, a documentary that a person in Virginia, when he found out I was coming here today, he said, "Whitfield, I got something I think will help you with that." This is it, The Lesson of Haiti. And if you don't have it, I hope that you can get the information from someone who have it. You need to read this, because this topic that we are trying to address today is addressing this documentary much better than any of us can today. It tells the dynamic of what happened to blacks right after the Civil War. They call it the post-war period, when we had over 100 black towns that had major investments. Those towns where blacks were actually owners of banks and many other businesses. It tells the story of North Carolina Mutual Insurance Company that had over 33 district offices. It was called the Black Wall Street. It was the largest black business in the world. Millions and millions of dollars. It made 90% of the loans for homes, churches, and colleges. And if you're familiar with what we say, historical black colleges, there was about 70 of them. And North Carolina Mutual was one of the financial institutions that financed most of those colleges. And that was that business was created right after the post-Civil War period, and they call it the first Black Wall Street. Okay, and you can go, there's a marker that they have there now, a historical marker saying that, and it gives you all of that information, and it gives you the names of some of those communities like Greenwood and Rosewood and Ocoee, where black communities, and they had black businesses and black self-sufficiency and all those things. And something happened. Over 40 of those towns were burned down. Firebomb and dynamite over the years, over 40 of those towns. And that was a pattern that was happening across the South. It had a lot to do with the fall of the black businesses and the black economy, those riots and those kinds of things. So I just kind of want to share that with you, and I hope that if you do nothing more, you get the information on the documentary and read the documentary, because I think that will do much more than what we are going to do here today. If I see Cash Peeler here, I believe, hello Cash, it's been years, it's good to see you, looking good.
Good afternoon. My name is Leroy Chandler. I am pastor of the New St. Paul Church located in Flemington. I am also the founder of Pathways to Freedom Black History exhibit. The question was, where is it housed? As my wife will tell you, in many areas of our home. And she is ready to get it out. In fact, she told me at one time, don't bring another bookshelf to this house. So I took it to the other house. So that my collection of black history books now total over 1,100. And so now I'm also looking for great bookshelves. As a pastor, I put a lot of emphasis on young people. We used to do scholarships, or still do scholarships, but we gave savings bonds to all of our youth that made the A, B, or A honor roll. For the A honor roll, they received $100 savings bonds. For A, B honor roll, they received a $50 savings bond. But thanks to our U.S. government, anybody tried to get a savings bond lately for someone else? So the problem is that the savings bond was a safer way to save. But we were not going to punish the children because of our government. That's happening too much already. So we still give the $25 and the $50 for the AB and the A honor roll, except if there is an N or U in conduct. We will not reward bad behavior. Now, what does that have to do with what we do for the community? It lets the young people know our interest in education. In fact, we have a couple of slogans there at the church. One of them is education pays. The second one is school is never out. The third one is I refuse to be ignorant and satisfied. And in addition to that, the Black History exhibit that I started some 13 years ago. I started because I went out, I was ministering in the prison system, and they asked me if I could do a talk on African American history, since it was the month of February. I said, of course. So I decided what I'll do is I'll go out and bone up on my African American history. But I looked in Marion County and in Alachua County, and I did not find an exhibit, I did not find a museum, I found nothing that anybody had put together, not even at the University of Florida, where they had an African American Student Union. Now at that point, I have three options. I can do nothing, I can complain, which in many cases is the same as doing nothing, or I can do something about it. I decided to do something about it. Our exhibit encounters a timeline. We just took down yesterday from being at Forest High School for 3 days. The exhibit was 2 days, and some 1,100 people came through that exhibit from Forest High School. And the questions that came and the comments that came from both Black, white, Hispanic was amazing, which lets me know that there's a lot of people that do not know the history of the United States. Because Black history is American history, Black history is world history. And we as a people, let me just say this because this is a part of it. You say, what do I do for the community? Try to bring the community together. Because we as a people have a lot of work to do. I was reading something that President Obama said, and this is something that I've been saying for quite a while, is that we have to help ourselves. We are the people and the things that we are looking for. And I will say this and I'll sit down, because I sometimes, people find what I say very, sometimes argumentative. But I'll say this, and we can talk about it later. In crossing the color line, for instance, Jackie Robinson went into the major leagues, and everybody cheered. And I, for one, think that is one of the worst things that happened to Jackie Robinson and to us as a people. I'll just leave that for you to think on.
Well, that'll be a question and a
Yes.
yes.
Let me just let it sit right here. Let me sit that right here.
Hate to say this, but why?
Good afternoon. As Ms. Francine mentioned, my name is Elgin Carelock, and I own a firm here in town that specializes in business development, success coaching, and I work with the Greater Ocala Community Development Corporation as well. And my role here in town is I have had the opportunity to work with many successful African American businesses, and I want to help bridge the gap between them and those who are in a lower economic strata to help them understand what the critical factors are for them to be successful in business. In many cases, it doesn't have anything to do with education or intelligence. It's simply that no one ever told you. And so if you are a baker, you would tend to know how to make the best pie or the best cake. what would you know about vertical and horizontal differentiation? It just doesn't happen. So we want to establish a system where, and we have established classes for entrepreneurs and businesses that are in second stage growth, to show them how to plan for success, how to get funding, how to scale up their product line, how to do all of the things that we see in normal practice here. And what I do like is that I have encountered many African American businesses that are doing well. And so we're going to tap into them as mentors so that the children can see people who look like them succeeding and then have a method of getting to the same place. So, for instance, on my Facebook page, each day this week, or for this entire month, I'm posting an African American person who has achieved something that most probably don't know. I mean, raise your hand if you knew that currently there's 7 African American female astronauts. Very good, very good. And then we have African American astrophysicists, and the CEO of McDonald's and IBM and American Express are all African American.
Carnival.
Absolutely. So these are representations that our children don't get to see. They get to see athletes and musical performers, but not the success in large corporations that they're even familiar with. So our hope is that we have the opportunity to carry them into the future and enjoy the success of Marion County as it grows. Thank you.
Wow, there's such a plethora of experiences here. It's hard to try to, to figure out what to ask first. Shatasha, can you talk a little bit more? Can I move this? About what you do as far as helping children here in Marion County?
Sure. Childhood Development Services is a nonprofit agency. We have a Head Start, early Head Start program. We offer free education for children that are birth to 5 to give them an excellent Head Start for school. However, keep in mind that Head Start does not only mean free education for children, we focus on the family as a whole. So when that child is in our program, we're not only educating the children that enter our program, we're educating their families. Childhood Development Services focuses on self-sufficiency. So when those children and those families leave our programs, they're self-sufficient in order to build their own economic wealth, find education, and jobs to succeed.
How are the families, how do the families find your services, find your
Childhood Development Services is located on 25th Avenue. Cynthia Graham, who also works for Childhood Development Services, she's always ready. She has flyers for the program. And you can also visit our website at discovercds.org. We're always hiring. And in our department, we also have training and professional development for those people who want to work with children who are birth to 5. There are teach scholarships available for people who want to work in education. Those teach scholarships will help anyone who does not have a degree in or education in early childhood education, and they're able to go up through getting a bachelor's degree as long as it focuses in early childhood education and or elementary education. So that's a little known fact, but I want you to go back and share, okay? If they have any questions about that, please feel free to contact me. I have some business cards and I can get them at the bottom of my purse, or my contact information. If you'll just touch bases with me, I'll be happy to share that information.
I meant, how do families find you? Is it a service that is given at different medical groups or children's services? Is it a Medicaid connection, or how are they? Are you a profit, for-profit? You're a nonprofit?
We're a nonprofit agency, and our children basically come from word of mouth in the community.
So you outreach to the community?
We always outreach to the community.
That's important.
Have partnerships with Monica, who does domestic violence. Cynthia's always beating the paths, providing information. We do enrollment year-round. So anyone at any time of the year can apply for our Head Start program.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. Dr. Brooks?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about
Yes, in terms of our services, as I indicated earlier, we advocate for children. Now, how do we do that? I think probably in each of your areas, you advocate in some kind of way. When you find opportunities to speak before a group or individuals, or however you choose to advocate, just be in an advocacy role. Advocate with parents, providing that support that they need so that they can be better parents. We all know that parents are beginning teachers for our children. So I'm always asked about parenting support groups. When we get enough people who are interested in our parenting programs, then we will have parenting support groups. Ramal is a part of the 211 in that we get people who are in need of parenting support or they need social services in general. Are you familiar with 211? 211, for those of you who do not know, it's like 911. You have emergency, you call. But 211, if you have social services needs, you use that. So we get all kinds of referrals. There is just a tremendous need in our community, and there is never enough of resources. Let's not forget, when we talk about financial resources, let's not forget about human resources. That's our most valuable resources that we have. So as an educator, I've been an educator since 1970. I am a certified teacher, social worker, and counseling. That's what I do. That's my purpose on this earth. That's my passion. So I come from a place of social work and education. So I use what I believe in to help people in our community. And as I've indicated before, in terms of educational experiences for children as well as for adults. And so at this time, we do have the financial empowerment workshops that started last week and will continue for the next 3 Mondays in this month. And so we would like for you to spread the word about the financial empowerment workshops, because that's where it began. You have to be financially fit in order to help other people become financially fit. You have to be financially fit before you can talk about investing and economic development. So that's what we're about. So I hope you will take a flyer and you will let other people in your community know about it so that they can be involved.
We are open for questions.
I'm hearing a lot about services for young people. What about senior care? What about daycare for seniors? I noticed, I come from Connecticut, and we've had daycare for seniors all over the state, and there seems to be nothing of that sort here in Marion County.
Would you like to answer that? Or does somebody else? Okay, there are daycare centers provided in our community. I'm thinking about Blessed Trinity has daycare, and I'm sure there are other agencies and organizations that provide that service. Again, 211. If you want to know anything about social services, call 211. That's your first step in finding out about the social services in our community. Like I said, again, Blessed Trinity has a daycare center for seniors.
Some of the assisted living and nursing homes do too.
Right.
We're talking elders who are still in their homes. Sometimes there are few services. Is this on? Sometimes there are few services that are offered to elders who are still in their homes. Okay, I must have tripped something. I'm sorry. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, you mentioned about seniors. You didn't mention anything about seniors.
Senior?
Somebody mentioned about seniors. Is there anything for seniors?
Is there anything regarding seniors?
What's the information? I didn't get it.
Blessed Trinity. Yes, sir. Are there any?
Tell them again, 211. I don't think
211, sir. You would get that answered on 211. The telephone number. Are there any other questions? Yes. I'm sorry.
Do you work with individual schools? Anyone on that?
Do you work with individual schools, references, referrals from teachers or counselors if they have a student in their classroom or a family?
She's asking, do you have any referrals? Are your services referred by teachers or educators or social workers?
Again, we will receive referrals from anyone. We don't charge for our services. This is really something that I started in terms of when I was going to retire, and I thought about what can I do in terms of the skills that I have and how can I help the community. So when we get enough people who are interested in any of the service, or you like to start something for seniors or whomever, or what special interest group that you have, please let me know. And then we can get a support program started. We not only make referrals or receive referrals, but when there is a need and we want to address it, then we try to find out who can we partner with in order to provide that service. So please let me know what your needs are, and it can happen.
Thank you. Yes, first area is me. I'm not great at this, so you might have to start.
That's it. I have to ask my friend Reverend Chandler about Jackie Robinson. I can't wait.
Can't wait.
We want to hear.
No, we just want to hear why you changed your
Right.
plan.
Yeah, that's it.
I know Jackie Robinson is.
Right.
You probably, there's sometimes subjects you ask questions for, take a little bit more discussion than just a yay or a nay. But everybody, we know Branch Rickey, who was at that time the head of the Brooklyn Dodgers. If you know the story of the Negro Baseball League, you know that around the Negro Baseball League, what grew up in those towns, in Indianapolis, in Chicago, in New York, in Newark, in all of those cities, what grew up around the Negro Baseball Leagues were black businesses, restaurants, hotels, the works, just like some of the businesses that we knew about in Black Wall Street. Now what happened was that the Negro Baseball League started to pull revenue from the major leagues, because sometimes when there was a game going on in the same town, the Negro League pulled fans from the major leagues. So they saw this as losing money in terms of ticket sales as well as vendor sales. That's not going to happen. And so then the plan was set into place. How do we change this? How do we change this? Unlike what they did when they beat the jockeys, the black jockeys, off of the course, they did this a little bit more tactfully. So let me make it short. First went Jackie Robinson, then went another, then went another, then went another. The Negro Baseball League started to dwindle, and when the Negro Baseball League, with Ruby Foster, finally went out, what else do you think went out? The businesses in the black communities. And that's not the first and only time that this type of situation had happened. That's the reason I say that we have a work to do ourselves. I have seen this. I saw a situation like this in Detroit, and I saw it even during the 60s. And I agree with President Obama when he says we are the people that we've been looking for. That's short. If you want more, come later.
Mr. Carelock, can you talk about businesses of the future and what tools are needed from our young generation?
Certainly. The internet has provided an unprecedented access to global commerce, to local commerce, and what our young entrepreneurs need to learn from this point forward is actually first the basic foundations of business, which is great customer service,
Yes.
a great product, a great price. You'll take care of the people who take care of you.
Yes.
And then we can talk about digital marketing and all of the things to get your business to grow. But it starts with as many examples as we could possibly see. Could you imagine if we were to pair some young entrepreneurs with an existing business? So you have a landscaper who has one employee, and we say, we're going to give you 2 interns for 1 year, but you have to teach them everything. They need to see how you do your P&L sheets. They need to see if you don't pay your rent, they need to see you get kicked out. They need to see the entire process. So now imagine when they decide to step out, how much more likely they will be to be successful. So that's how I see us moving forward. But there definitely has to be an understanding of where we came from. And so what Whitfield and this gentleman here are talking about is essential. But they also have to understand those who have made it to where they are or where they want to be. And so we can kind of connect the two and then create a bridge. Absolutely.
This question is for Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Stevenson. Mr. Jenkins, in a Bridges meeting quite a while ago, you mentioned that when Highway 441, Pine Street through Ocala, was built or widened or something, that it wiped out a thriving black business area. Could you expound upon that and let us know? And Mr. Stevenson, you probably can add to the discussion also.
Thank you, Kathy. I had that in my notes. Yes, you can look in the documentary that is explained very well. There were 3 things that happened systemically when black businesses rose and was at their very best that started the dramatic fall of black businesses. One was that there was a reaction by the white race from black achievement, because that went along with blacks enjoying seats of power. They were in Congress and other places, and there's a connection between blacks holding those powerful positions and the attitudes, particularly in the South. So black achievement was one of the problems. The other was urban removal, and that's where the highway system. They started, if you look across the nation, from California to Maine, there was something strategically when they built those major highways to wall off the white community from the black community. That existed right here in Ocala. If you see, recently they even closed the street that allows you to go directly across from Broadway from the black community. They closed that street so you can't go straight across now. You got to go and make another turn. So a lot of people, just that inconvenience, will go elsewhere rather than to go uptown anymore. And if you look uptown right now with all of the redevelopment, how many black businesses do you see uptown right now crossing Pine Street? There's very few, if any. So that was a systemic plan, urban planning, and the final leg of that was political, and that's evident here today. Now this has been advertised quite a bit, and I know Delphine invited the county commissioner that represents this district, Carl Zala. She invited him here today, and he basically refused the invitation. She invited the city council that represents District 2, Mayor Sue Rich. She is not here. If you observe that pattern, it continues to happen, and you don't have people with the courage in the community that are being affected. You elect people to represent you, and you don't have the courage to call them out. There's something wrong with that picture. There's something wrong with that picture. And so when you connect the dots, and please, if you get a chance, see the documentary, because the people who are in there explaining this is doing it better than I can. Okay?
I have a question for the gentleman at the end. What are we doing here in Ocala to get entrepreneurs together to form black businesses? I mean, we got some people down here that may have $1 here, $1 here, and you get $3 and you can get $4 and you can form a business. I don't see a soul asking me for any of my money except in church.
I'll ask.
Let me first say amen. But we do have efforts that are in motion trying to create networks. When Brother Alonzo had his newsletter, he did a great job. Nicole was just sitting here. She started a Black Business Network on Facebook, which does very well. But collectively, we have to create a culture, and that's what we're missing. We have individuals. I mentor people, and everyone at this table mentors people. But collectively, we haven't found a method by which to create an actual network. I mean, there's been talk about a Black Chamber of Commerce, but there's a Chamber of Commerce that already exists. So if you did something under that auspices, it doesn't require all of the funding it would take to then start. But the culture of each one help one is not pervasive, and that's why we don't have the piggyback effect of building entrepreneurs. I mean, most times my firm gets a call from an African American business that the engine 2 has gone out and they're hurling fast to the ground. They're trying to, and as opposed to calling in the formative stage, going, hey, so what do I need to do to be successful? So that's part of why I'm here today is to say, hey, let's start looking at this from a global perspective. We can have more successful businesses of all races simply through the cooperation and shared knowledge.
So if we want to be an entrepreneur, can we come talk to you?
Absolutely, I'll give you a card.
I'll show you mine.
First of all, let me just say this, that the wife and I owned, we left here in 1975. We both went to work for General Motors Corporation, but we said before we left we were going to start we were going to have a 10 and 2 program. That is, we were going to work there 10 years, good or bad. Then we were going to start a 2-year program to move back home so we can come back, give something back to our community. That's what we're trying to do now. Right now, we have a 15-acre tract of land that we are looking to build an African American cultural facility on. So you can hold your wallet out. So let me touch on something that is very, very, very powerful. We as a people, when I say that we have a lot of work to do, we must understand that we are a people that endured for some 300 to 400 years of negative indoctrination. Negative indoctrination. What kind of indoctrination was that? It was so that he does not trust me and I do not trust him. Now, I don't remember if it was Malcolm X that said it. We may think that we are done with slavery, but slavery is not done with us until we collectively get together and understand what has been done to our minds so that we can have a mind change. Then we are going to continue to ask these same kinds of questions. Why can't we collectively come together? This is a real problem. It's a real issue. Don't think that you're going to throw off 300 or 400 years of negative indoctrination. How long has it been? 150 years. What did Willie Lynch say? If you follow this program that I give you on the slaves, it will last for 300 years and perhaps more. It's lasting, and it's only been 150. I pray that we don't have to go through another 150 years before we start to come together.
Careful who you elect.
We have a couple more questions and then we need to wrap up. Mr. Norris?
No, I don't need the mic. But you said that the way Obama said we need to do it. And you also said that Malcolm X said in the quoting, and I'm going to quote Malcolm X. No, I'm not trying to cast aspersions. Malcolm X said when we get together, we need to put our religion in the closet. Yes. That is one of our biggest downfall. Our biggest downfall. That's where it is. We need to register folks to vote. If you guys could give me some information, we have a brother here who's running for the sheriff's office. I'll go out there. I'll be willing to go out there anywhere you
declaration that President Obama said is, I quote, "America's greatness is a testament to generations of courageous individuals who, in the face of uncomfortable truths, accepted that the work of perfecting our nation is unending and strive to expand the reach of freedom to all. For too long, our most basic liberties has been denied to an African Americans, and today we pay tribute to countless good-hearted citizens along the Underground Railroad, aboard a bus in Alabama, and all across our country, who stood up and sat in to help right the wrong of our past and extend the promise of America to all our people. During National African American History Month, we recognize these champions of justice and the sacrifices they made to bring us to this point. We honor the contributions of African Americans since our country's beginning, and we recommit to reaching for a day when no person is judged by anything but the content of their character. I thank you so much today for coming, for speaking with us, and we will have other conversations. Please speak with the panelists, but we need to kind of wrap this up, so I thank you so much for coming today.
I want to thank you also, but also remind you that we have in this community now the Bridges Project of Ocala, Marion County to address race relations. We meet the first Saturday of every month at the police station community room at 10 o'clock in the morning. This is ongoing conversations that need to go forward. And our president is Bruce Seaman, who's been a major force in the progressive community. If anybody who is not on my email list is here and has not signed the yellow sheet, please do so. And if anybody has not gotten all the handouts that we have today, there is an array of them at this back table. Thank you so much, all of you.